facilitating. But there are four of us, but I am the team lead of the Consolidated Finance and Applications team. And we are a small group of women. It's women only. But Barrett's team, they sit very close to us, and there's some males over there, the monitors for the Office of Federal and State Accountability. But for us, the majority, there's Greg and Clint right there. Your friendly auditors. But most of my team is in here with me today. This is Martha Walker. We'll be presenting together Sheree Mosley, Leslie Close, Makisha Sumter. We also have Teresa Gregory. We got Sarah Wagers right here. And I think that's them all. Okay. I wouldn't want to miss one. There's about 7 of us. So if you do not know who your program manager is for our teams, please make sure that you see me and I will introduce you while you're here at the ESSA Academy. So on our team, we oversee, hold on to your seat, us 6 or 7 women, we oversee Title 1, 2, 4, 5, and then we also pull the reservation for school improvement, which is managed by Kim Mack's office. So our hands are in a good bit. Title 3 is not underneath my team. That is under Zach's team. But for the rest of us, we are the program managers for those ESSA grants. So make sure you speak to us if you know us or if you don't. We would like to get to know you. We're going to do a little interesting question to you before we get started. And here's the question. How many of you women, talk to the women first, but the men, we're not going to get out of it, okay? How many of you ladies have been on Instagram and you're looking around and you see all these new makeup products that are coming out and like, that's expensive, but I'm, menopause or perimenopause.
See the way it fills in your food.
That might be worth my investment. I've been there. Consider that. Maybe I should go down and consider some Botox. And so if I ask the ladies in the room, is that a return on investment for you? You say yes. You don't see the lines when I smile, right? And for the men, we can't act like you don't consider things that are expensive either. Because I'm married and I know all his little hobbies and the things he likes to spend our money on. And then my dad is a hunter. All the many things associated with all the guns and knives and I don't even know. Return on investment, right? And how many of you have ever bought a little vacuum cleaner called a Roomba? Did you see me go to the piece of paper and look at the word because I don't have one? What is its name? Do I have a Roomba? Can I ask you, Evergreen, is it a return on your investment? So you know what one is? It's a little vacuum. First of all, vacuum that sits on the floor. And it runs all around the room and it picks up all that cat hair and dog hair and everything, child stuff, all that stuff. You don't have to vacuum, right? Okay, I'm considering that one because I do think if I pulled some data, if I emptied it out, I would see the return on my investment, right? How many of you have ever purchased something you figured out it was a dud afterwards? Guess what? You do that in federal programs too. How many of you in your district you have purchased something and later on you felt like that was a dud? None of you don't remember. Well, we have talk to do if you've never done that. But today we're going to talk about evaluation and return on investment. Okay? You do it in your personal life, and we have to do it professionally. I will tell you that as you go through ESSA Academy, you see the age I am, there's the glasses now because I'm getting ready to read. But as you go through ESSA Academy, you're going to hear these words often. Continuous improvement. Okay, just like we're trying to continuously improve ourselves, you're going to hear that term as it relates to all these grants this week. You're really going to hear it from Tiffany Kessler from Ruban tomorrow when she speaks. If you were to attend a national conference, you would have heard it there. You went to the NASIPA conference, you hear it there. These words, continuous improvement and return on investment. And what does that look like? So that is what we're going to get into today. I should be able to point it towards the Now, while ago, it moved forward. Go ahead, try it again.
Does anybody else have seats available at their table? We got a couple people there.
Move it forward.
The back section.
The return on investment to the clicker. We need another.
It's moving on here, but it's not moving.
Well, go ahead on the tip guy. Take a moment and introduce yourself to the people at our table.
Oh, there it goes.
Here we go. Okay.
I was like, it's on.
Now I'm going to go and talk to you about how to do something and then not show you how to do it, right? So I have a little guest speaker at the end of this session that Martha and I really took notice of at another event that we were speaking at, and so we're going to have like a district spotlight at the very end of this presentation. All right, so let's talk for just a minute about evaluation and the expectation from our office currently and moving forward, right? How many of you are a REAP recipient and this year you filled out a REAP survey? Okay. How many of you have filled out a Title IV survey? Okay. Surveys from our office are there to help us take a look at whether or not you are currently evaluating some of the strategies and activities that we are approving in our office. Currently, our office sends out a REAP survey, a Title IV survey, and an N&D survey. That is not to say that Title I and Title II should not be evaluated. Title I is the big fair, right? It has the most money coming to your district. If we looked at Title I and Title II law and guidance, you would see that you on the district level should be evaluating what is going on in your district with activities as related to these grants. So in just a moment, I'm going to talk to you about the evaluation requirements per grant, and then I'll turn it over to Martha. But before I do that, just in conversation, in talking to you, how many of you run multiple grants at your district? So you're doing like Title I, II, IV, V. Okay, I would raise my hand if asked that question because I'm overseeing multiple grants as well. Most of the time that's called a federal programs director or a federal programs coordinator. I said this in the last session and I'm going to say it again, that if that is your role, you are supposed to be the expert in allowability for those grants. So when you come to the table with district level personnel, or you're sitting with stakeholders getting ready to plan out funding, you should be the one that we can do this and we can do that based upon the law and the guidance. That is part of your duties in that role for whatever grant that you are running. Pieces of your duties include planning, facilitating, and also evaluating. Okay? Just like we talked about personal return on investment, you have to do the same things within the programs that you are running. So, in Title I, if I have a behavioral interventionist in several schools, at the end of that academic calendar, even though it's a 2-year grant, at the end of that first year, I need to pull some discipline records, and I need to look at the return on investment for hiring a behavior interventionist in that school. Is it making a difference? Not that I want to take somebody's job, but if there is not a return to that investment, conversations need to be held, right? Why is this not working? Does the person need more oversight? Okay. Did we need that activity at all? These conversations should be held with more than 1 or 2 people. Stakeholders is a wide variety of people within that district that takes a look to write a comprehensive needs assessment for the district. Many people should be coming to the table. If you attend our summer coordinators training, that's upcoming. But we'll talk about who are the stakeholders that should be sitting at the table. Jim's listed out for you in certain sections as well. All of these people come to the table to have these conversations. And there, you plan from 1 year to the next. Let me say that if you are a newbie, you're going to be running 2 grants at one time. Okay? All of these grants are 2-year grants. And so right now we're in the 25, Title I, say for example. So pretty soon you're going to get a preliminary 26. And when you do, you're going to have 2 open at the same time. You need to be doing spring planning with your stakeholders to take a look at what activities are we currently doing and then evaluate those activities to see, do we need to plan differently? Okay? And so, what does that look like? Am I getting a return? Pretty soon, your program manager will be having more conversations than what you have had in the past about the return on investment. Let's talk about Title IV for a moment. You have a logic model within that grant. Okay? Are you meeting the goals associated with the logic model? And if you're not, why not? How can we help? We're here to help and support and hold hands with you so that we can meet the needs of the students. Let me say, because I've done this many years, but sometimes when you sit in the seat that you are in, it becomes numbers on a page and words on a screen. And I want to encourage you to step out of that work and to consider that it is the impact to children. You have quite a span of influence and quite a responsibility when it comes to meeting the needs of those students in your district. And if you are a federal programs coordinator, that's your job. And I know that sounds harsh, but that's my job. So if I'm reading applications and I just feel like it's just red tape, a conversation is held. Okay? For the accountability of it, that we have to impact children. Pretend that it's your baby sitting in that chair. That's the span of influence that we have with these funds to meet the need. So therefore, we're going to look to see what's working and what's not. We're going to plan appropriately. And then, from our office's standpoint, we're going to have conversations with you, just like you're having conversations at your district level about what's working and what's not. Okay? A return on the investment. How many of you have a yearly evaluation of your performance on the job? Yeah, guess what? Leslie said she does too. And hard conversations are sometimes held. What do we need to tweak up? What can we do better at? What goals are being set? Okay, everybody has to be evaluated, and so do the activities in your plan. So what are the evaluation requirements for each grant? We actually put it on the slide for you based upon the law. Okay, so it's going to look a little differently from title to title. Notice that the required components for successful implementation for Title I. If I'm going to do it with fidelity, what do I need to have? A comprehensive needs assessment, a comprehensive school-wide plan, and an annual review and revision of the school-wide plan. How many of you know you have to revise things as you go? Sure, I can plan, right? But sometimes what I plan to do, they just didn't quite work out. So I need to come back in and revise. That's all part of the process. I want to encourage you to take a look at your district strategic plans and school renewal plans. Pull it up and look at the goals. And think about how the funding can help you meet those goals. Tomorrow we'll be doing a finance section where we're going to talk about funding and planning and how they hold hands and how that can work with our district strategic plan along with the needs assessment. Less work for everybody is best, right? Let's not overwork ourselves. Pull that plan up, look at the goals, and plan the funds to help you meet your goal. Come to the table with your allowability hat on. Title I can fund this and that, because that's allowable. Title II can help us with goal 3 and 4, because that's allowable. Think about it in that way when you think about the needs assessment. Okay. I don't know, I think it has a lag.
Letter N.
Nothing. It's moving on the laptop, but it's not moving up there.
Can you just press it?
It wouldn't even let me do it.
Notice the little words on the evaluation picture. You got the word improvement, performance, results, audit, assessment, analysis, criteria, and quality. How many of you in the district have ever implemented a reading program? You purchased one and implemented it.
Because it's moving when you hit it, it moves on the laptop, but it wouldn't move up there.
Anybody ever bought a reading program? I'm gonna
Take this one.
Another one right here. I can recall working in
No.
It takes 3 good years when you purchase a reading plan or that plan sometimes to really get in there and get the teachers trained and the children understanding what's going on, to then be able to determine did it work. Right? So you have to implement it for them.
It was moving on the laptop, but it wouldn't.
That is a very difficult thing when you've purchased all these resources and then the district determines, oh, I don't think we got the bang for our buck there.
Okay, there it goes.
And then you have to have conversations about, shall we continue because just because the ball on itself? I'm sitting here. Let's go back to the return. Okay. Title II. Notice that it says the statute does not specify exact data types, but encourages the use of disaggregated data for various groups of students. And then it drills down. And if you've done Title II very long, you'll see it's kind of broken down by allowability components. So you can pull data for recruitment and retention. You can pull it for student data, for class size reduction. You do class size reduction in Title II in your district, pull the data and see if having less students in the classroom is producing reward for that. Okay. Class size reduction is not one that people really think about pulling data on, but you need to see if it's making a difference. You need to evaluate. We're going to put all this money from Title II into class size reduction. Academically, is it making a difference? Let me talk about PD for just a minute. I'll run a rabbit trail. Martha, have to cut me off. You do a lot of travel, and in your Title II plan, I see 15 people going to California or something. I'm going to say, is that reasonable? Right? Do you need 15 or do you need 3? You're going to get questions about when they come back. How are you going to see a return? If the majority of your Title II plan is around professional development travel, we're going to have conversations with you about how are you tracking the return. What we're not going to give is vacation. Okay? And I say that because we travel too. What's the return? Okay? And you as the federal programs director have the right to say no. That's not reasonable. Okay? And if you need backbone for that, that's not reasonable. Return on investment. What kind of things can I pull? It's going to be based on the activities in that plan. Okay? Title IV. This goes back to the logic model. We have something called CSER that we have to gather data from, and Title IV is a biggie. It will have us drill down to outcomes. Did you meet that goal? Did you meet that objective? And if not, what are you doing about it? Are we changing it? Are we looking at the logic model and editing it according to meeting those outcomes? So it's very outcome based. Okay. Methods of evaluation, performance monitoring, rigorous evaluations. Use evaluation results to guide future investments and decisions. Okay, so you have to think about the investments that you give, and are they rigorous in your evaluations, and do we need to tweak things accordingly? Now, I talked about the REAP survey in the last session. You're going to hear more and more from our office about evaluating based on the activities that's there. So I want you to think about it in terms of activities too. Okay? Think about it per grant based upon what you have. I gave an example about class size reduction in Title II, Title IV logic model goals, Title I. Let's just get down to the nitty-gritty. Field trips. Sure, children need to go places. But when you think about what you're writing into those plans, what activities is going to improve student achievement the most? How can we increase their student achievement. You have to put on those hats and you have to think about those things. Where do we get the bang for our buck? All things matter, but ultimately, are we moving the needle? And if we're not, we need to plan accordingly. Okay, so we're going into spring planning for the 26th, and we'll be talking about preliminary allocations soon. So as you are planning in the spring, think about the evaluation components and tweaking plans as you see getting the return and the bang for your buck. Okay?
So I'm going to get in about the process of evaluation. I know we have about 15 minutes left, and I want to make sure I give time to our principal. So I'm going to go through this information, but Jennifer did a great job kind of explaining what it looks like and what we're looking for in our department. So I want to highlight a little more on the process of evaluation, because we know evaluation drives our decisions and what we're purchasing, because we want to make sure that we are, spending the money on meaningful. So of course, we have to start with our needs. We all develop that needs assessment, and we want to make sure that everything we purchase and everything that we're doing in developing these needs assessments goes straight back to students. So identify your local needs. Make sure that you're selecting those relevant evidence-based interventions. Make sure that you have a plan for your implementation. Of course, start the implementation. And then lastly, what we are going to highlight is examine and reflect, because we can have great plans, right? We can buy all the wonderful things for our students, but is it really working? So examining, evaluating, reflecting is where the hard part comes in. So goals should be set and evaluated throughout the school year. We're going to talk about rigorous evaluations. That happens at the end. We want to talk about how are you monitoring the activities and they're successful, if they're successful throughout the year, because that's ongoing. Ongoing evaluation is extremely important, but taken together can help us make those decisions for if we want to continue. So with performance monitoring, this requires you to regularly collect and analyze your data to track your progress of your activities against those specific goals and targets that you set within your needs assessment. So everything that you're doing ties back to that needs assessment. You'll see us when we send plans back and when we see an activity, because we've evaluated and looked at your needs assessment. If there's something that we don't think aligns with that needs assessment, we'll ask questions, what is the purpose of this activity? How does it connect to your needs assessment? How are you evaluating for return on investment? And then identify whether the implementation is happening as planned and whether the activity is achieving those interim milestones is extremely important. And then you use this information to make those adjustments throughout and optimize the activity for continuous improvement. Because if you're evaluating the progress of an activity and you do not see that it is making that progress we need to go back to the drawing table and make changes and make those adjustments. And then with the rigorous evaluations, those outcomes, after gathering all of your data, it's important to conduct these evaluations to measure the effectiveness and the impact of an activity on those desired outcomes, what you set forth in that needs assessment. Are these activities achieving your goals? And then answer key questions regarding how well the intervention is working and whether it's making a measurable difference in the area it aims to address. So did the program work, and are we reaching the outcomes that we set to achieve? Because if not, why are we paying for this? So decision making for future investments, that's what we're in here learning about. It's important to make sure that you're evaluating. So the insights from performance monitoring and those rigorous evaluations are used to help guide your decisions on future investments. So when you go back to meet with your stakeholders, you have the data, you have the evaluations and the information you need to determine if you're going to continue with certain activities. And this includes deciding whether to continue it whether you're going to modify it based on those performance monitoring or scale up an activity, whether a different approach is needed. So by using both that performance monitoring and those rigorous evaluations together will help you to make those informed decisions you need moving forward with certain investments. So some questions to consider when you are determining how to evaluate your activities and meeting with your stakeholders. These are some questions that you can take back with you. So what are reasonable expectations of success, and how can success be measured? You want to set reasonable goals, right? Steady progress, steady improvement, achievable goals. Make sure that those are measurable as well. And then what are interim progress and performance milestones that can be tracked? So with that monitoring piece, maybe you're looking at those benchmark assessments, formative assessments, teacher survey. How is this working for you in your classroom? And look at those things along as you're trying to come to a determination about certain activities. What have participants, maybe the students and educators in the intervention, shared about their experience? So you could use surveys. And how could knowledge about this intervention be shared with others and incorporated into decision making moving forward? Did you hit your programmatic goals? And then based on the information, should the intervention continue as it is? Is it working? Does it need to be modified, or does it need to be discontinued? Okay, so I know that we won't have time to dive deep into this example needs assessment, but you do have access to this presentation within the Whova app. And I went in and selected, Jennifer and I selected this needs assessment, but it really does a great job breaking down goals and then how those goals tie directly to the Title I plan and objectives that they set, and it neatly outlines their activities and how those activities address their needs in the needs assessment. So it lays out the data and charts those things in a great way if you're looking for an example needs assessment for your district. And then, as Jennifer already mentioned, we have a Title IV and a Title V survey. So those are new. We started with the Title IV survey. We started with the logic models, and we had you develop objectives and outcomes and how to measure success within your Title IV program. That was our first step. And then you submitted that survey. After that, we did the Title V survey. So just expect similar things to be coming with Title I and Title II, because, as Jennifer said, we should be evaluating all of our grants at the level we're evaluating Title IV and Title V right now. But those surveys are linked. If you did not fill out the Title IV or Title V survey for your district and you want to take a peek to see what that looks like, you can open those up through the PowerPoint in the Whova app. And now our district spotlight.
I'd really like to quickly introduce Robert Newton, who's a phenomenal principal in our district who does data and he monitors student progress and outcomes. So he's going to share some of the great things that he does.
Hello, everybody. I'm the proud principal of Windsor Hill Arts Infused Elementary School. Our school has about 630 kids in it. We have the highest poverty indexes in our district. About 1/10 of my school is special education. 1/6 of it is an ELL population, and we historically have had good or excellent ratings. We're very proud of it. We've had to work really well together to build a common vision. When I first got there, arts folks wanted to do really well. Grade level folks wanted to do really well, and they were going in two completely different directions, because arts people like to perform, and grade level people like to perform, but they like to perform with grades, and it didn't always mean that they were working together because they had to compete for time, and it made it really difficult. We worked through that, put in some things to make us really efficient with schedules. I'll talk about those real quick in a little while, because I know that I don't have that much time. But when we were developing our plan, we use a ton of inputs. I'm constantly listening. My team is constantly listening. We have a very shared leadership model where we're always working together. Open door policies. Teachers can come in just about any time. And we've built a really nice culture, and all these things are very important. We're an ABC school as well. I get a lot of strategic planning done through our ABC committee because for the ABC grants, we have a lot of external folks that are part of our school community coming in, and it's a perfect time to get a lot of information. Title I nights, obviously, get a lot of information from our Windsor Hill School Improvement Council, teacher input. They're constantly giving us feedback. I've got them talking. When I first got there, they were very quiet, very to themselves. They can't wait to tell us everything and anything now, and that helps a lot. We review school data, including SC Ready, MAP, Read 180, Access, District Common Assessment, FSS, Ames Web Monitoring, and more. We've got a really in-depth MTSS process, and what I found with MTSS is if you have a school that's struggling with MTSS because they can't get it off the ground, what I realized with MTSS was we have to have some kind of answers for them, something that's at the end of the tunnel. If you've got plenty of that, people really take MTSS seriously. PLC meetings to review data and problem solve. And with PLCs, I think the trick to that is being willing to give up a lot of authority. If you can let your teachers problem solve and take what they're saying really seriously and go for it, so many times they've come up with such better answers because they're in the trenches and they see it. But you've got to be willing to take that jump. Of course, our Windsor Hill admin team reviews everything. We've got our Title I budget being discussed and reviewed during multiple admin team meetings. We are constantly reviewing the strategic plan. And of course, we have our district review. I'm very grateful for Ms. Kelly and her team because I'm a natural problem solver. My son's severely autistic and nothing is out of the box. She does a really good job keeping me out of orange. We'll just leave it at that. But very open to problem solving too. So I very much have learned to appreciate that relationship. Our MTSS meetings are very detailed. Now we do ask the teachers to bring a lot of data and a lot of information. We talk about goals and we want our MTSS process is very fluid. Will change frequently. If kids are achieving, they come out, new kids go in. We have evaluation points. Anytime kid gets 3 points above the Ames line there, they're usually rolling out and we're getting new kids in, which having a fluid plan helps you reach all of your kids. And I think we're seeing a lot of success because we look at every kid frequently. Here are just a number of our interventions. We've got some great interventions, but when you have great interventions, you also have to be careful because one thing that teachers sometimes want to do, and hopefully not too frequently, once you hand off to that tier 2, you're not handing them off. You're working together, and you've got to monitor and ensure that that's happening. That they're not washing their hands and saying, okay, the intervention is going to take this and run with it, but the regular ed teachers not going to back off a little bit. They both need to be firing away. Shared leadership. It's so important because you get the best decision making, you get the best information. With our school structure, we have administration, our leadership team. This is our main problem solving group. I have representation from all the school, all the grade levels, even the staff. I have usually a secretary on the leadership team and a cafeteria manager on the leadership team. That's where we do a lot of our problem solving. Grade level, fine arts, health and wellness, special education teams. They work really well as PLCs. They give us a lot of information to help, and then we have committees too. I'm trying to rush. I hope I'm not going too fast. Schedules. I can't tell you how important schedule is. I lost a lot of people my third year because I came in and said, hey guys, we're bleeding time. I'm going to give a lot of support, but you've got to give up control over the schedule. I said everybody in each grade level is going to teach the same thing at the same time, and what you're going to get in return for this, I'm going to be able to access every kid that needs intervention. I'm going to be able to give special education kids the intervention that they need, and it's going to be pulled at the right times. If you don't have that, it's a nightmare because you can't get to every kid with the interventions that you need. And the special education piece, and when looking at resource, for example, I have things set up to where I can have one grade level and one subject at a time because everybody's on the same schedules. If you have people doing their own thing, there's no way you can do that. You end up with something like grade 3 through 5 resource with math and ELA, and it's so broad you can't do anything. It's a huge, huge piece. Efficient schedules critical to success. We also used it to really help with our fine arts program. I have fine arts for 4th and 5th graders to where they meet in cohorts based on their fine arts cohort. Got permission to actually have the kids focus on one particular fine arts area per semester. And because of that, and then they rotate through that cohort for the PE requirement. And because of that, I'm no longer pulling kids out of reading or math to go practice for performance, which is huge, especially at my school, which is a fine arts school, and got to make the fine arts people happy too. Additional funding from Title I. We also get arts in the basic curriculum of $12,500 yearly. The last 2 years, we had a learning loss grant of $5,000. My team, when you give a lot of shared leadership, when you support them and encourage things from the bottom up, the last 2 years, my fine arts people got that grant, did all the work without even telling me about it. They just came and said, hey, we got a surprise for you. We need you to sign here. Here's $5,000 for us to use. And it's really nice. My grade level teachers went out. You know how we can't spend a lot of money on science through Title I. Can't spend any money on science through Title I. And some of my grade level people were like, what do we do? How can we? They went out and found an engineering firm to work with them and got a grant for $5,000 through them. So they got some of the science and STEAM activities that they wanted. We've had past DAP grants as well. We've had a lot of arts community support, which have built things. We do something called Arts Infusion, where our arts folks, there's extra time in our schedule to where our arts teachers actually work with our math, reading, science, social studies teachers to teach difficult standards through the arts and collaborate with the grade level teachers, and it's really effective. This is huge too. You cannot lose this. If you do not have this, the buy-in for things, things that I haven't been able to provide through Title, I get extra intervention from things like my media specialist and the media assistant. They come in and they help kids with reading all the time. I've got folks that are really, really helpful in adding so much to what we have that we don't have to pay for because of school culture and climate. The results of this last 3 years, we're the blue line. These are all of our subcategories compared to district and state. These are the last 3 years. So this is what's fun. Thank you.
Good work is going on in South Carolina, right? When we attend different conferences and things, I'm so proud to be a representative of South Carolina. All the good work that you are doing in your district and in your schools, we want to continue to highlight even more good work that's going on in the district and the schools as we continue to have these conversations moving forward. So congratulations to Dorchester. Thank you, Mr. Robert, for your attendance today. Thank you for coming, and we look forward to continuing to partner